This is even worse than Jim Crow. This is Jim Eagle, which is one of the stupidest things ever. Jim Crow 2.0. He gave this speech twice, I think, in Philadelphia. And I mentioned this yesterday. And Miranda Devine, I think it was, also sent a tweet similar. I wonder on some part, Biden's brain doesn't work well, Buck. But I think he's spending way too much time with these historians, the Michael Beselos, the of the world, who are convincing him that America is more in peril than Americans actually think.
And by the way, this is one of the most annoying trends in cable news for anybody who sees this. When these lib historians show up on CNN, MSNBC, it's like, oh, I wrote a biography of Eleanor Roosevelt, so let me tell you about the January 6th insurrection.
Yes.
It's like, oh, you can't question him. He's a historian who knows about Eleanor Roosevelt. Like, slow your roll, historians. I love history. Doesn't mean, just because I could talk to you about 16th century Mediterranean warfare tactics doesn't mean I get argument enders whenever I want to talk about politics today.
The best history books, as you well know, Buck, and anybody out there who reads history knows, and I was a history major. I mean, I thought about getting my PhD in history. I love reading and studying history. It takes 50 or 100 years for the best history books to be written. The immediate aftermath stories, the presentism, right, the books that the presidents write, they become part and parcel of the historic record. But they aren't the final word, because in the moment, all of us are really poor at judging history's scope. And so this idea, your point is, I think Biden is under the grip of all these historians who are saying, today is like 1864. You've got to understand that, the Union is in danger, in peril. And I don't buy that. And I don't think your average American on a Wednesday, 5-6 days before the election, is driving around saying, oh my God, the country's in peril. And the underlying aspect of this too is we're having an election. That's the very foundation of democracy. Arguing democracy's in danger because your political opponents may get more votes than you is actually how you end up in authoritarian government.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that some of the libs who have spent 2 years panicking incessantly about anyone questioning elections, within a week's time, are going to start questioning elections, Clay? I have a feeling. I have an inclination.
There are going to be a lot of people on Twitter who have said, you are not allowed to question any elections. That when this red tsunami hits, they're going to come out and say, there's no way that Republicans elected a governor in Oregon. You're telling me that Lee Zeldin beat Kathy Hochul? The fix was in.
Their favorite is, in Georgia, it's going to be black voters were suppressed.
Yeah.
And so we can't really know who actually won because of voter suppression. You say, well, how do you know there was suppression? Shut up. There's racism, isn't there? So there's suppression. They don't care.
And then you say, well, show me examples of it. And they say, well, it's systemic.
Well, one thing I think I like, though, about the consciousness on the right is that more and more people have realized that the hypocrisy is the point. That the left says one thing when it works for them and then abandons it when it doesn't. And we say, well, hold on a second. What about they don't care? They don't care. It's like a child throwing a temper tantrum. It doesn't matter what the rules of the game are. They want what they want when they want it. But we're looking good here. We got a bunch of key candidates who are joining us today. Some very important congressional races, too, because we want to make sure. We got to run up the scoreboard for Republican Congress as well. We'll get into all this in just a second. But my gun owner friends out there is a newer, less expensive way to keep your shooting skills sharp and your confidence high with your firearms. All the best shooters are doing so much of their training doing dry fire practice at home, and they're doing it with something called the Mantis X. This new way of training and skill sharpening is effective and economical. Mantis X is a firearms training system that is a no-ammo, all-electronic way to improve your shooting accuracy. It simply attaches to your firearm like a weapon light, and you can use it at home or at the range for training instead of using expensive ammo. The Mantis X gives you data-driven, real-time feedback on your technique and guides you through drills and courses. 94% of shooters improve within 20 minutes of using the Mantis X. This product is now being used by the U.S. Marines, Army, and Special Forces. It's military-grade technology at an affordable price. The Mantis X is a must-have for every gun owner. Start improving your shooting accuracy today. It's so cool. I've got mine at home here, the Mantis X system. It's really futuristic, but super data-based. You're going to love it. MantisX.com. That's where you go. MantisX.com.
One truth revealed after another.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton.
A year ago, there was not a bad investment to make. The stock market was still showing growth. The housing market was on fire. Cryptocurrency was something you were flirting with, maybe. What a difference a year makes. The bubble may have burst on not just one of those investment angles, but all of them. I mean, who knows? But what I do know is that gold and silver may turn out to be the safest, most reliable investment there is. Certainly over time, that's been proven, particularly when markets are volatile. I find value in purchasing real gold. Gold is good, gold is solid, and gold is the key to making sure your investments are on solid footing. I rely on the Oxford Gold Group for my gold purchases. They're the industry leader for so many reasons, starting with their advice and the best pricing guarantees. Call them yourselves to diversify your portfolio. Call the Oxford Gold Group today and request your free precious metals investment guide toll-free at 833-404-GOLD. That's 833-404-GOLD.
I wanted to know why some people who get COVID-19 get it so bad. I found out it may be because they have a high risk factor, such as heart disease, diabetes, being overweight, smoking, and asthma. Even if symptoms feel mild, these factors can increase your risk of COVID-19 turning severe. So if you're at high risk and test positive, there are things you can do, like asking your healthcare provider if an authorized oral treatment is right for you. Learn about an option at treatcovid19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
Progressive presents today's to-do list for your dog.
Check front door, check window, check other window. Rest chin on ground, look into distance. Bark for no reason. Check front door, check window, check other window.
Your pet has a very busy schedule, so it's up to you to make sure they're protected. That's why Progressive Car Insurance covers your pets for up to $1,000 if they're ever in a car accident with you.
Chase shiny ball, lose shiny ball. Find shiny ball, eat shiny ball.
Get coverage for your pets with any auto policy from Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Coverage for cats and dogs included with the purchase of collision coverage and subject to policy terms.
Prop 29 is yet another special interest ballot proposition that would shut down dialysis clinics and threaten the lives of 80,000 kidney patients. 80,000 patients who need dialysis treatments to stay alive. Join the American Nurses Association California and thousands of dialysis patients. Say no to yet another dangerous dialysis proposition. Vote no on Prop 29. And paid for by No on 29. Stop yet another dangerous dialysis proposition, sponsored by patients, doctors, nurses, and dialysis providers. Committee major funding from DaVita and Fresenius Medical Care.
Vicks NyQuil Severe tackles your worst cold and flu symptoms, changing this into this. NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, sore throat, stuffy head, aching, fever, best sleep with a cold medicine. Use as directed.
Teaching her how to drive. But Dad, why not use Greenlight to help her save for her own car? Mowing lawns and getting paid. She'll go from washing your car to flexing with her own. How? With Greenlight, the money app for families. Together, you can navigate the world of earning, saving, and investing. Because when you teach her to be smart about money, she'll go far. Invest in your best investment. Sign up today at greenlight.com.
Swing, 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 you flannel-clad kings. Swing, 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 do your tailgating thing. Swing, 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 move easy once again. Swing, 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 rotate those wings. Swing, 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 big game day away. Duluth free swinging flannel for him and her. Designed and tested to swing, swing, swing. Only at Duluth Trading.
El aire en nuestras comunidades está muy contaminado y por eso nuestros hijos padecen más del asma y enfermedades del corazón. La Proposición 30 ayuda a combatir la contaminación que envenena nuestro medio ambiente. La opinión, la Asociación Americana del Pulmón y el Partido Demócrata de California apoyan la Proposición 30. Vota sí a la 30. Traerá aire más limpio para todos los californianos. Anuncio pagado por Yes on 30, Cleaner California, a coalition of Cal Fire firefighters, working families, rideshare companies, and environmental groups. Principal financiación del comité hecha por Lyft y International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers.
Welcome back in, Clay Travis, Buck Sexton Show. Okay, here's the deal on this historian angle. Buck and I are both history